So in the last lecture, we have started project management, right? Firstly, I have told you that how you can construct the network. Secondly, I have told you that how you can find the earliest starting time so that you can start the event so that it should end at that particular time, and then is latest completion time so that at what time you should start the event so that it should end by the particular time, right? That we have calculated EST, earliest starting time, and earliest starting time of jth node हमने कैसे निकाला था? The maximum of ESI plus TIJ, right? That means it is varying from ith node का earliest starting time plus the time which is going from I to jth node. LCJ कैसे निकाला था? That is the minimum of over I, LCI minus TIJ, right? So that was LCJ. In the this class, we are going to discuss how you can manage the project. That means suppose you are completing the project in 31 days, like this example, that we have particular task and we are completing the project in 31 days. But if I say, can you complete this project in 28 days, right? Can you complete this project in 20 days? So for that, you need to do some calculations, right? For that, you need some definition. So the first is critical activity. I will discuss one example and discuss all the cases in the same example, right? And in that example, you all need this definition. Once you understand this definition, then it will be more clear. So what is critical activity? The ijth activity. The ijth activity between node I and J is said to be critical, if ESI will be equal to LCI. That means the earliest starting of ith node is also equal to the latest completion time of ith node. ESJ, that means the earliest starting time of jth node should be equal to the latest completion time of jth node, because you are talking about two activity, I and J, right? That, and ESJ minus, if you do ESI, that should be equal to LCJ minus LCI, and it should be equal to the time which is between your ijth activity. Is it clear? Yes or no? Once you write definition from the previous example, I'll explain to you. The next is critical path. A path between the origin and destination. A path between the origin and destination constructed by critical activities is called your critical path. That means जो critical activities आपका path बना रही होंगी origin से लेके destination तक जाने के लिए, that will be your critical path. For example, we have done this example, right? So you have to judge what are critical activity in this case. So how you will take, this is my activity 1, 2, 3, right? For this activity, ES1 is equal to LC1, fine. ES2 is equal to LC2, fine. अब activity कौन सी बात कर रहे हो? You are talking about the activity 1, 3. Is it clear? For the 1, 3 activity, ES1 is equal to LC1. ES2 is also equal to your LC2. And if you take the difference, that means ES2 minus ES1. What is that? 8 minus 0, that is 8. And you take LC2 minus LC1. that will be 8 minus 0, that will be 8, which is equal to your the time between your 1 and 2. That means my 1-2 activity is my critical activity. Sorry, 1-3 activity is my, here is also 3. 1-3, so this is my critical activity. Is it clear? Now you can see also this, if you go from 1 to 2, your ES1 is equal to LC1. This is okay. But ES2 LC2 के equal है. इसका मतलब 1-2 activity is not my critical activity. Clear? Here ES1 is equal to my LC1, but ES2 is not equal to my LC2. That means 1-2 is not my critical activity. Is it clear? Yes or no? Next, if I am talking about 3 to 4 activity, 3 to 4 activity, ES3, what is my ES3? What is ES3? Earliest starting time of 8. And what is LC3? That is also 8, right? ES4, what is that? 23. And LC4 is also your 23. If you do the subtraction ES4 minus ES3, that will be 23 minus 8, that will be 15. LC4 minus LC3, that is also 23 minus 8, which is 15, which is equal to the time between 3 and 4 activity. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि मेरी 3-4 भी क्या है? क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी है. Is it clear? Fine. The same if you talk about 3 to 5. Can I write here? Right? If I am talking about activity 3 to 5, ES3 तो मेरा ठीक है, LC3 के इक्वल आ रहा है, that is my 8. ES5 भी मेरा LC5 के इक्वल आ रहा है, that is my 31. अगर मैं डिफरेंस लूं ES5 माइनस ES3 तो कितना आया? 31 minus 8, that will be your 23. LC5 minus ES5 minus LC5 minus LC3 करूं तो 31 minus 8 कितना आया? 23. क्या ये T35 के इक्वल है? No, इसका मतलब 3-5 is not my critical activity. Is it clear? Yes or no? Then last activity 4 to 5. Here if you consider 4 to 5 activity, ES4 is also equal to your LC4, that is your 23. ES5 is equal to LC5, that is 23. And if you take the difference between this ES5 minus ES4, that will be 31 minus 8, which is 31 minus 23. That will be 8. LC5 minus LC4, that is 31 minus 8, sorry, 23. Which is also equal to 8, and this is equal to the time between 4 and 5. That means my 4-5 activity is also my critical activity. Is it clear? Now critical activities की अगर आपका ES जिस भी एक्टिविटी की आप बात कर रहे हो, IJ एक्टिविटी, उसका अर्लीस्ट और उसका लेटेस्ट दोनों सेम हुए. अगर अर्लीस्ट का डिफरेंस करो वो टाइम के इक्वल आ रहा हो, लेटेस्ट का डिफरेंस करो वो भी उस टाइम के इक्वल आ रहा हो. इज इट क्लियर? दैट विल बी योर क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी. क्लियर हो गया? नेक्स्ट, क्रिटिकल पाथ. अ पाथ बिटवीन ओरिजिन and destination constructed by critical activity is your critical path. अब यहाँ पे origin कौन था? 1, destination क्या था? 5. तो क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटीज कौन सी पाथ कॉन्स्टिट्यूट करी है? 1 to 3, 3 to 4 and 4 to 5 is your critical path. Clear? Yes or no? There can be more than one critical path also. We will discuss that examples, that there will be more than one critical paths. Is it clear? Any doubt? Have you done crash duration and crash? Next definition that you will use, that is your crash duration and crash cost of an activity. Crash duration is, that is the minimum time required to complete an activity is known as your crash duration, and the corresponding cost to complete the activity in minimum time is your crash cost. Is it clear? For example, एक एक्टिविटी आप खत्म करने में, that means the normal duration that you take, the maximum time that you are taking 8 days you need to complete that activity. But crash cost is that you can complete that cost, right, duration, that you can complete that activity within minimum time. That I am saying that you can complete this activity by 5 days. I will provide more labor, more time, more raw material so that it can complete by within 5 days. So the crash duration that will be your 5 days. But अगर आप कहो कि एक ही दिन में खत्म करनी है, I cannot do, because crash duration is saying that is the minimum time it requires to complete that task, right? अगर मैं कह रही हूँ कि एक एक्टिविटी नॉर्मल ड्यूरेशन में 8 डेज में हो रही है, बट क्रैश ड्यूरेशन है उसकी 5 दिन, तो मतलब आप 3 दिन रिड्यूस कर सकते हो, बट आप कहो कि एक ही दिन में वो खत्म कर दो, it is not possible. Is it clear? So next, normal duration that I have already explained you. Normal duration and normal cost of an activity that means the time specified by a person, the time specified by a person to complete an activity is your normal duration, and the corresponding cost for new normal duration is your normal cost. So if I am taking the time, this is for your normal duration, this is the time for your crash duration. If I am taking the cost of normal duration and I am taking the cost of crash duration, can you tell me what will be the relationship between Tn and Tc? Tn means time for normal duration. Crash Tc means time for crash duration. Cn means cost for normal duration and cost for crash duration. What will be the relationship? The time for the normal duration will always be greater than your crash duration. क्योंकि crash duration में आप minimum time लेके चल रहे हो, but normal में आप specified time लेके चल रहे हो कि इतने में होगा, right? But if you want कि अगर वो जल्दी खत्म हो जाए तो लेबर भी ज्यादा लगानी पड़ेगी, रॉ मटेरियल्स आपको वैसे प्रोवाइड करना पड़ेगा, सब कुछ उस तरीके से प्रोवाइड करना पड़ेगा, तो कॉस्ट किसकी ज्यादा होगी? द कॉस्ट ऑफ क्रैश will be more than your normal cost. Is it clear? Then how do you find the crash limit? The crash limit of an activity equal भी आ सकता है, but generally when you take less time तो वो कम ही होगा। अगर आप कह रहे हो वो मैक्सिमम टाइम है तो कोई ना कोई उसका मिनिमम टाइम होगा ही होगा। अगर उतने में ही वो एक्टिविटी होनी है देन द नॉर्मल विल बी सेम एज क्रैश। ठीक है, तब अगर नॉर्मल और क्रैश इक्वल हो गए तो ऑब्वियसली उनकी कॉस्ट भी इक्वल होनी पड़ेगी। तब यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं हो सकता एक ग्रेटर आ गया एक लेस आ गया, राइट? बिकॉज अगर नॉर्मल ड्यूरेशन ही क्रैश ड्यूरेशन के इक्वल है तब उसकी कॉस्ट भी इक्वल होनी पड़ेगी, राइट? देन देयर विल बी इक्वल रिलेशनशिप। ठीक है, मतलब ऐसा नहीं हो सकता इस केस में कि टी एन ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू टी सी हो जाए और सी एन ग्रेटर, ये अगर इक्वल हो गया तो ऐसा नहीं पॉसिबल, यहाँ पे भी इक्वल ही होना पड़ेगा फिर। इज इट क्लियर? फाइन। द क्रैश लिमिट ऑफ एन एक्टिविटी, द मैक्सिमम टाइम that can be reduced, from an activity is called your crash limit. The formula for this is crash limit of an activity is the normal duration or your current duration minus your crash duration. Is it clear? फॉर एग्जाम्पल कोई भी एक्टिविटी है, जैसे सपोज वहां पे हमने जो ग्राफ लिया था 1 to 3 एक्टिविटी 8 डेज में कंप्लीट हो रही थी। ठीक है, मैं कह रही हूँ कि 1 to 3 एक्टिविटी मैं 5 डेज में कंप्लीट कर सकती हूँ। सो दिस इज माय नॉर्मल डे, नॉर्मल ड्यूरेशन, दिस इज माय क्रैश ड्यूरेशन। सो व्हाट विल बी द क्रैश लिमिट ऑफ योर एक्टिविटी 1 3? दैट विल बी द नॉर्मल ड्यूरेशन माइनस योर क्रैश ड्यूरेशन 3 days. That means I can reduce 3 days from the project so that it can complete in lesser time. Is it clear? Clear? Next is slope of an activity. All these terms you will use in your question to when you have to reduce the number of days from the activity, right? Slope of an activity. So if you draw a graph of this, so what you are saying that the time for your crash duration will less and the time for your normal duration will be more. This you were saying, right? But the cost for your normal cost duration is less. The cost of your crash duration will be more. So this is TC, this will be the intersection point, this and this, sorry, Tn and Cn, this is the normal and this is the duration of this. So if you have 2 points, this point is my Tn, Cn, this point is my Tc and CC. How do you find the slope? Yes, how do you find slope? अगर आपको दो पॉइंट्स दिए होते हैं x1 y1 x2 y2, how do you find the slope? y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. So how do you find the slope of activity? Slope of activity will be my magnitude of y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1. So that is Cn minus Cc divided by Tn minus Tc. Is it clear? Yes or no? That means this is the cost affecting your project, right? This is which is equal to the cost required to reduce 1 unit of time from the activity. Is it clear? अगर आपको एक दिन रिड्यूस करना है तो आपको इतनी 1 into स्लोप पे करना पड़ेगा. अगर आपको 2 days रिड्यूस करने हैं तो आपकी कॉस्ट कितनी बढ़ जाएगी? 2 into the slope of that activity जिसमें से आप रिड्यूस करोगे. Is it clear? The second last definition that you will use, that is your free float. Free float of non-critical activities. Free float of non-critical activities. This you calculate FF if you are talking about ijth activity. This is your ESJ minus ESI minus TIJ. Free float critical activity की क्या होगी? What will be your free float of critical activity? 0, right? Because critical activity का rule ही यही है कि अगर आप ESJ minus ESI करो तो वो TIJ के इक्वल आनी चाहिए. अगर वो इक्वल आ गई, अगर वो सब्ट्रैक्ट करोगे तो फ्री फ्लोट एक्टिविटी, फ्री फ्लोट ऑफ क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी हमेशा क्या आएगा? 0. बट कन्वर्स इज नॉट ट्रू. अगर किसी एक्टिविटी का फ्री फ्लोट 0 आ रहा है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी है. नॉन क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी का भी फ्री फ्लोट 0 आ सकता है. इज इट क्लियर? द कन्वर्स इज नॉट ट्रू. दिस इज इंप्लाइज दिस दैट अगर इफ इट इज क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी तो उसका फ्री फ्लोट 0 होगा, बट कन्वर्स इज नॉट ट्रू. अगर वो 0 है इसका मतलब वो जरूरी नहीं है कि वो क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी है. इज इट क्लियर? देन हाउ डू यू फाइंड द FF लिमिट? दैट इज द फ्री फ्लोट लिमिट, दैट इज द मिनिमम ऑफ नॉन जीरो FF. जो आपके नॉन जीरो आ रहे होंगे सारे FF, उसका अगर आप मिनिमम लोगे दैट विल बी योर FF लिमिट. एंड द लास्ट इज द कंप्रेशन लिमिट, that how much days or minutes you can reduce from your project, that will so that the project will complete in the minimum time. So that will be the minimum of FF limit and your crash limit. Is it clear? So these definitions we are going to use in our next example. I will discuss all the cases in the next example, right? That if you can compress more number of days, but आपको number of days कम के लिए दिए गए हैं. If you can have to reduce more number of days, but you can reduce only less number of days, that I will discuss all the cases. When you will have one critical path, when you will have more than one critical path, I will discuss all the cases, right? In the next example. The example is, consider the following data. Consider the following data That is, the data is given to you. This is my activity. 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 5, 2 to 3 to 4. The same example that we have discussed. 3 to 5 and 4 to 5. And the normal duration is the number of days is, this is in days. 15, 8, 12, 15, 18 and 8. The normal cost for this is 600, 700, 750, 650, 700, 500. And the crash duration is, that means the crash time is 12, 5, 6, 12, 3, 5. And the crash cost is 1200, 1600, 1500, 1400, 1450 and 950. So you have to calculate. The first part is find the cost for completing the project in normal duration. Second, find the cost of completing the project in 29 days. The third part, find the cost for completing the project in 28 days. The fourth one, find the cost for completing the project in 23 days. The fifth is find the crash cost for completing the project. Crash cost completing the project means आपको क्या निकालना है? That is the cost to complete the project in minimum time. Question is clear, right? So these are 5 parts. In these 5 parts, I will discuss all the cases, right? When you have one critical path, when you have more than one critical path, when you have crash compression limit is more, but you have to reduce less number of days. Your compression limit is less, but you have to reduce more number of days. That I will discuss all the cases. So for the first part, whenever you have to find the normal duration, firstly you have to construct the network, right? So when you have to construct the network, keep it in mind all the rules, that the starting and ending activity should be unique. The starting and ending of 2 activities should be different. There should not be a closed loop between your nodes, right? So here the first activity is going to 2 and the normal duration is 15 days. The first activity is going to 3 and the normal duration is 8 days. The third activity is going to 4 with duration is 15. The third activity is going to 5 with the duration is 18 days. The fourth activity is going to 5. It is 8 days. And the second activity is going to your fifth activity. And the duration is your 12 days. Is it clear? Now this is your normal duration. Whenever you will have normal duration, you have to find the EST, that is earliest starting time and latest completion time of every activity. The first activity you can start at 0 number of days, that will be 0. The second activity you can start only when your first activity will be completed. and this will be 0 plus 15, this will be 15. And third activity is 0 plus 8, 8. 3 to 4, this is 15 plus 4, 23. And for the activity 5, what you have to take? The maximum of अर्लीस्ट स्टार्टिंग टाइम निकाल रहे हो ना 5th एक्टिविटी का, वो क्या है? कहाँ से आ रही है वो एक्टिविटी? थर्ड से, सेकंड से और फोर्थ से. दिस मीन्स प्लस T3 5 प्लस T2 5 प्लस T4 5. So you have to take the maximum. So what is coming out? This is coming out to be your 31. In the last example we have found that. Is it clear? याद है क्या भूल गया? लेटेस्ट कंप्लीशन टाइम हम यही ले लेते हैं 31. अब 5th से एक्टिविटी में 2 पे जा रही हूं और 2 मेरी एक्टिविटी और कहीं से नहीं आ रही. सो इट विल बी 31 minus 12. दिस विल बी योर 19. इज इट क्लियर? 4th एक्टिविटी आपकी और कहीं से नहीं आ रही, सिर्फ 5th से वापस आ रही है. सो इट विल बी माई 31 minus 8. दैट विल बी 23. राइट? Third activity is coming from 5th activity. That means LC 5 लूंगी और LC 4 लूंगी. माइनस क्या करूंगी? T4 5 माइनस, सॉरी, थर्ड एक्टिविटी का निकाल रहे हैं. माइनस T3 5 and it will be T3 4. So it is coming, minimum is coming out to be 8. First activity is coming from 2 minus LC 1 2. This will be LC3 minus T13 and you have to take the minimum, which is coming out to be your 0. That we have already done in the last example. So that means the first part is the project will complete. The project will complete in 31 days. And the cost will be the sum of all the cost of the activities. जितनी भी आपकी एक्टिविटीज हैं उनका सबका टोटल कर दोगे. That is your 600 plus 700 plus 750 plus 650 plus 700 plus 500 and this is coming out to be your 3900, right? Rupees, right? So that means अगर आपको 31 डेज में प्रोजेक्ट खत्म करना है तो आपके 3900 रुपीज लगेंगे. इज इट क्लियर? राइट? एनी डाउट? द सेकेंड नाउ पार्ट कम्स दैट वी हैव टू कंप्लीट द प्रोजेक्ट. To complete the project in 28 days, what I have to do? I have to find the compression limit. 29 days. So if I have to reduce the number of days, you can reduce the number of days only from the critical activity, right? Critical activity means जहां पे आपका अर्लीस्ट स्टार्टिंग और लेटेस्ट कंप्लीशन सेम है. अगर आप दोनों का डिफरेंस करो वो किसके इक्वल आ रहा हो? टाइम ड्यूरेशन के इक्वल आ रहा हो, राइट? सो टू रिड्यूस द नंबर ऑफ डेज फ्रॉम द प्रोजेक्ट, we can reduce days only from the critical activity. So in this case, what is my critical path and critical activity? So I have to check critical activities. Then I will have the critical path. So we have already done that. My critical, this is my same. This is same. This is same. And This is same. So if you take the difference 8 minus 0, which is coming out to be 8, that means this is my critical activity. 3 to 5, 4. If you take the difference, this is coming out to be 15. If you take the difference, this is coming out to be 8. So that means my critical activities are 1 to 3, 3 to 4, and 4 to 5. Is it clear? And what is my critical path? That 1 to 3 and 4, 3 to 4 and 4 to 5. Is it clear? Yes. Now, how you have to select? अब आपके पास तो critical activities, you have now 3 critical activities. किसमें से reduce करें कि आपकी cost minimum ही रहे? ज़्यादा तो नहीं pay करना चाहोगे? You have to pay minimum. So you have to select that the minimum of the slope from the critical activities to reduce days from critical activities. Select the critical activity. Select the critical activity whose slope is minimum. Now the slope of activity 1 to 3, find the slope. The slope of activity 3 to 4 and the slope of activity 4 to 5. क्या था formula? The magnitude of Cn minus, क्या लिखा है formula? So if you find out, this is coming out to be your 1600 minus 700 divide by 8 minus 5, या उल्टा भी लिख दोगे तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, right? This is in the magnitude. So it is coming out to be your 300. It is coming out to be your 250 and it is coming out to be your 150. Is it clear? ऐसे भी लिख दोगे तो it does not affect जो मैंने Cn minus Cc लिखा हुआ है, right? So now you have the slope is 300, 250 और 150. This is the change in the cost. Obviously जिसमें से आपको pay minimum करना पड़ रहा है, that you will select. So the minimum slope is of activity. This is your 150, which is corresponding to your activity 4, 5. Is it clear? Therefore, we will reduce the number of days. We will reduce the number of days from activity 4 to 5. Is it clear? अगर आपके पास एक से ज्यादा क्रिटिकल पाथ आते तो आपको हर क्रिटिकल पाथ में से एक्टिविटी नंबर ऑफ डेज रिड्यूस करने थे, तब आप ऐसे नहीं कर सकते कि एक पाथ में से रिड्यूस कर दो. जितने भी कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंगली आपके पाथ्स आएंगे सेम नंबर ऑफ डेज आपके रिड्यूस होंगे हर पाथ में से, राइट? सो वी हैव टू रिड्यूस द नंबर ऑफ डेज फ्रॉम 4 to 5 एक्टिविटी. अब एक्टिविटी में से रिड्यूस तो पता चल गया कि 4, 5 में से करने हैं. कितने डेज हम रिड्यूस कर सकते हैं? सो दैट वी फाइंड बाय योर कंप्रेशन लिमिट. क्या था कंप्रेशन लिमिट का फॉर्मूला? द मिनिमम ऑफ क्रैश लिमिट एंड योर एफएफ लिमिट. व्हाट इज योर क्रैश लिमिट ऑफ 4, 5 एक्टिविटी? अब अगर 4, 5 में से रिड्यूस करने हैं तो क्रैश लिमिट तो मुझे उसी की देखनी पड़ेगी ना. क्या है फॉर्मूला? नॉर्मल और करंट ड्यूरेशन ड्यूरेशन माइनस योर क्रैश ड्यूरेशन। कितनी है नॉर्मल ड्यूरेशन? कितने दिनों में खत्म कर रहे हो 4 to 5 एक्टिविटी? 8 डेज में। क्रैश कितनी है? 5. So that means 8 minus 5, that will be 3. That means I have to choose the minimum from 3 and FF limit I have to find. FF limit हम किसकी निकालते हैं? नॉन क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटीज की। अब मेरी नॉन क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटीज कौन सी हैं? 1 to 2 is my non-critical activity. 2 to 5 is also my non-critical activity and 3 to 5 is also my non-critical activity. Formula क्या है? ES2 minus ES1 minus T12, ES5 minus ES2 minus T25, ES5 minus ES3 minus T35. So this is coming out to be 0 and this is coming out to be your 4 and this is coming out to be your 5. FF limit हम क्या निकालते हैं? That is the minimum of non-zero floats. Non-zero free float. तो non-zero मेरे क्या है? 4 and 5. So what is the minimum? 4. That means compression limit will be minimum of 3 and 4. That will be your 3. Is it clear? Yes or no? Sometimes when I speak. So the FF limit is 4 and the compression limit. So the compression limit has come out to be your 3. इसका मतलब आप 4 या 5 एक्टिविटीज में से 3 डेज रिड्यूस कर सकते हो। इसका मतलब 31 minus 3 आप कितने डेज में प्रोजेक्ट खत्म कर सकते हो? 28 डेज में। बट क्वेश्चन क्या है? 29 डेज में खत्म करना है, राइट? इसका मतलब आप 3 डेज रिड्यूस नहीं करोगे, आप कितने डेज रिड्यूस करोगे? 2 डेज। इज इट क्लियर? अगर आपका फर्स्ट पार्ट नहीं होता, ठीक है, कि आपको 29 डेज में खत्म करना है, सीधा ही सेकंड पार्ट होता तो आप सीधा ही 3 डेज रिड्यूस कर सकते थे। इज इट क्लियर? सो दैट इज द केस, फर्स्ट केस, कि आपकी कंप्रेशन लिमिट ज्यादा आ रही है बट आपने नंबर ऑफ डेज कम रिड्यूस करने हैं। इज इट क्लियर? Yes or no? So there is one remark, right? We can reduce 3 days from 4, 5, but as per the question or as per the condition, we have to reduce only 29 days, 2 days from 4, 5 to complete project. To complete project in 29 days. Is it clear? Yes or no? So again you will construct your network. 1 to 2 activity, there is no change. This is 15. 1 to 3 activity, there is no change. This is 8. 3 to 4 activity, there is no change. This is 15. 3 to 5 activity, there is no change. It is 18. 2 to 5 activity, there is no change. It is 12. And 4 to 5 activity, पहले कितने दिनों में खत्म कर रहे थे? 8 days में. You have to reduce 2 days. You will complete this activity in 6 days. So this is 6. Is it clear? अगर पहला ही क्वेश्चन होता कि 28 डेज में करना है तब आप 3 डेज डायरेक्टली रिड्यूस कर देते, राइट? अगेन फाइंड द लेटेस्ट कंप्लीशन टाइम and earliest starting time. So this is 8, this is 15. Now you know the formula. So now you can notice here that the project will complete in 29 days, and the cost is the previous cost, normal cost, plus number of days that you are reducing into the slope of the activity जिसमें से आप reduce कर रहे हो. So that means the normal cost was 3900. Number of days reduced are 2. Slope of activity 4-5 is your 150. So this is coming out to be your 4200 rupees. Is it clear?